Good afternoon and welcome to Winchester News Online. I'm Emily Byway. Coming up, the race for the White House heats up.
Clear, we are all here because we are fighting for a democracy.
Winchester students celebrate graduation and spooky season arrives in Hampshire. Tomorrow, Chancellor Rachel Reeves will deliver the budget. It will be Labour's first in 14 years and the first to be delivered by a female Chancellor. Many people are calling this the most significant budget in years. Elliot McVie is in the studio with us. Elliot, why is this budget so important?
Yeah, so when Labour won the election back in July, they said that they'd inherited the worst set of circumstances since the Second World War. And since then there's been a lot of emphasis on making difficult financial decisions. They've said that they've got to try and find £40 billion to avoid having to make any cuts to government departments. And they said they're going to try and do this by tax rises rather than cuts to spending.
So how could this affect people's everyday lives?
Well, they've said that they're not going to raise income tax, VAT or national insurance, which is good. I'm sure many people will be pleased to hear that. They've also said they won't be increasing taxes on working people. But there has been a bit of confusion as to what that actually means. And to be fair, Keir Starmer did say that his definition was broad. Things that will be changing though, or likely to be changing, include inheritance tax, pensions tax, capital gains tax and more. There might be a few surprises in there though, so we'll have to tune in for more.
Thank you, Elliot. And with 7 days to go until Election Day in the United States, campaigning is getting wild. But what about the Americans who live in England? Maeve Corbett reports.
The UK is home to the second largest population of adult American overseas citizens, and abroad voters can have a much different experience to those in the States.
I have seen things that I don't want to see in the United States, and it's scary. That's your country. That's where you come from. You have a passport that says you can go back, and it's home. You got to make an impact on it.
So that's extremely hard to say. Broadly speaking, more Democrats probably have passports than Republicans. So if you want to extrapolate from that, you've probably got a bigger Democratic lean of people living abroad than not.
2.8 million overseas citizens are eligible to vote, but only 3.4% voted in 2022, according to the Federal Voting Assistance Programme. That is 18 times less likely to vote than stateside voters at 62.5%. While some overseas citizens simply don't want to vote, an estimated 10% of the gap between the two groups in 2022 was due to real or perceived obstacles such as reliance on the regional postal systems.
Honestly, the United States government, the website for overseas, it's not great to navigate, but if you can navigate it, that's pretty impressive. Just being overseas, it makes it a little more harder to get your ballot, but it makes it that much more important.
All eyes will be on America in the coming weeks as we find out their fate for the next 4 years. Maeve Corbett, Winchester News Online.
Remember, if you are eligible, make sure you're registered and ready to vote. Check your deadlines and what's on your ballot on the FVAP website. And Saturday saw more developments in the conflict between Israel and Iran in the Middle East. Earlier today, I caught up with our reporter Kieran Tibbett, who gave us the latest update.
Over the weekend, Israel launched what it described as precise and targeted airstrikes on Iran, which killed 4 Iranian soldiers. The airstrikes were in retaliation from the barrage of ballistic missiles sent from Iran at the start of October, in response to the killing of Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh. We now understand Israel targeted several military sites near Tehran after the BBC verified satellite images of the damage caused. These images show the Kojir military base a month apart, showing at least 2 buildings severely damaged in the blasts. Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu said the attacks achieved their goals, whilst Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei gave a measured response and showed no sign of wanting an immediate retaliation. Iran now has a difficult decision to make. Does it risk escalating the conflict by sending back another wave of missiles? Or does it draw a line under the attacks and hold fire, with the threat of appearing weaker than the US-backed Israeli military? Back to you, Emily.
EU countries are changing their travel policies. British holidaymakers may be forced to reconsider. More on this from Alexia Pittikas.
Going abroad might become a challenge for UK nationals as travel restrictions to EU countries increase. Travellers will face more red tape when the EU introduces what it calls the most modern digital border management system in the world. After the UK voted to leave the European Union, Boris Johnson's government negotiated for British travellers to become third country nationals, subject to a range of restrictions. This entry-exit system will record the movements of non-EU visitors to the Schengen area, comprising all EU nations except Cyprus, Ireland, as well as Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Switzerland. The EU visa waiver will cost €7, which is equal to around £6, and it will be free for children and over 70s.
I just think it's very inconvenient when trying to travel, having to pay even just to see family members within the EU.
If you want to have parents visiting for graduation and stuff like that, it becomes way more serious than what it has been before because they have to go through the whole application.
Here's what changed and what travelers need to know about how the new scheme will operate. First, you'll get your fingerprints and photo taken when entering the Schengen area. UK nationals are required to have a valid ETAS travel authorization. Those who wish to stay longer must meet the entry requirements in accordance with national or EU migration law. Although a fixed date for the visa to be implemented was given, the European Commission said in October 2024 that the waiver was being postponed again. But how will this affect international and national tourism? Italian tourists alone made 33.8 million outbound visits in 2023. However, these numbers are set to decrease. According to Statista, outbound trips to EU member countries remained below pre-pandemic levels, totaling around 60.77 million in 2023. We're yet to see when the visa will be put into force. Alexia Pitikas, Winchester News Online.
After bad weather last week led to a sewage spill in Portsmouth, Jacob Rayner was on the scene to take us through how serious the impact is and a scientific breakthrough that could solve the problem.
Langston Harbour is a stunning home for many varieties of wildlife. Now, it's putting them deeply at risk. Recent rainfall meant that Southern Water had to release untreated sewage through storm overflows in an attempt to stop it flooding roads and houses. But now, it's the seagulls, fish, and the seals that will end up suffering the consequences. This is due to the sewage spill creating a dramatic 800% rise in what are known as PFAS or forever chemicals, which can seriously harm wildlife.
It has so many different impacts, and especially the impacts on development or behaviour or fertility or immunity really impact a species' chance of survival. The only way to prevent them getting into the environment and into food chains is just by banning them. And so the Marine Conservation Society is calling for a ban on all PFAS, the entire group, from all uses where there are already alternatives.
The Marine Conservation Society are clear that the ban would not apply to uses that are essential to society, like medical devices and PPE. Southern Water made this statement about the spill.
We work closely with our regulators on all public health and environmental issues. Monitoring the health of rivers and seas is led by the Environmental Agency.
Forever chemicals are extremely damaging right now, but there is hope for the future. Researchers at Oxford Brookes University have put together a plan to build a machine that could potentially filter out forever chemicals.
They've successfully filtered 1 litre so far, but to them, this is only the start.
This is our aim to go to 200 litres, so we start from 1 litre, 20 litres, 200 litres basically. Because yes, I think if we can manage also to treat 200 litres, then potentially you can really treat any volume. I think yes, this can be a really major breakthrough on this field for sure. So yes, I have high hopes, but let's see how it goes. But yeah.
The potential from their research would not only increase the well-being of generations of animals like those at Langston Harbour, but with the filters not needing electricity, it means many suffering countries could get the clean water that they need. Jacob Rayner, Winol News Online.
Earlier this week, Winol found that nearly half of students wouldn't know how to react if they saw somebody seizing. Keris Howes, a frequent seizer, believes now is the time for change. The following story contains images that some viewers may find distressing.
Keris Howes looks like any other girl her age. She's a student, a friend, and a typical 19-year-old, but due to a medically unexplained condition, she suffers from frequent seizures.
Keris, love.
It's embarrassing because I feel like people are judging me because they don't understand. People look at me and they think,
there's nothing wrong with her. She can't be having seizures. You know, the night I had my first one, people were accusing me of being on drugs, when obviously I wasn't. I hadn't even been drinking. And it's just, people don't expect it. And it's quite hard feeling different.
Last week, Epilepsy Action reported that nearly 630,000 Britons are living with epilepsy. However, Winol can exclusively reveal that nearly 46% of students would not know how to react if somebody was having a seizure.
I don't think I would know how to react because I've never been shown or trained or anything.
I would not know how to react if somebody was having a seizure.
I wouldn't know what to do.
Seeing it for the first time can be really overwhelming, so that's why it's really important to remember 3 words, really simple: calm, cushion, cool. So stay calm, cushion their head, and call an ambulance.
A seizure is unpredictable. It can happen at any time. During the filming of this report, Keris had yet another seizure. But knowing what to do is vital. It can stop injuries, stop damage, and even potentially save a life like Keris's. Jodie Kelly, Winchester News Online.
If you or anybody you know has seizures or this story has affected you, then you can get support from Epilepsy Action either through their website or by calling 014 94 601 400. In the last hour, a car has flipped onto its roof on the A34 southbound near Whitchurch, closing one lane. Hampshire Police have said there are no injuries reported and delays are expected to continue throughout this afternoon. Salisbury Road has reopened following a barn fire last night. The initial call related to a fire in a camper van before it spread to the adjacent barn and 500 bales of hay. Firefighters remain on the scene. Has there been a daylight robbery? Technically speaking, yes. Our days are getting shorter, and Isabel Jones highlighted Winchester's nighttime safety.
Has there been a daylight robbery? Sunday night the clocks went back, meaning our days are quickly getting shorter. Tonight the sun will be setting at 4:45 p.m. in Winchester. Although Winchester has a relatively low crime rate according to statistics, there are still instances, typically in the colder months, which worry some citizens. I am currently along one of Winchester's most commuted on routes that connects the city centre into Stanmore, and would you believe that it's only 5:30 p.m? Students and the typical 9-to-5ers will be travelling home in the dark. How safe do our Winchester citizens feel walking back home?
In Winchester specifically, more safe than a lot of places, but I tend to feel more safe when some of the boys who we live with pick us up.
There's certain parts that I think, I wouldn't walk down there on my own because it's too dark or whatever.
But my son's, he was 15 and he was walking from the gym in town to home in Stanmore. Never had a worry.
So remember to stay safe in the dark. Isabel Jones, Winchester News Online.
Southampton City Council have unveiled essential works in Bitton Precinct, with many local residents unhappy with the council's plans. Olympia Camrich tells us more.
Southampton City Council has implemented essential works in Bitton until 2025 to turn the suburb into an urban green space. However, some local residents have mixed feelings about the idea.
I do feel that they're taking away a bit of the precinct, as you can see behind me, which I'm not happy with. We haven't been consulted on this, and worst part is we're going to have a Christmas with no Christmas tree.
It's good in some sense, but at the same time it's taking away open spaces and where the Christmas tree used to be, so we're not really full on board with it.
It'd be nice for kids, but it's causing a lot of hassle in the precinct.
I think it's all lovely. I think we do need green spaces. I've got nothing against all that, but is there not a time to be doing these things?
So we've had a very inadequate small play area here for many years, which is no good, and they took out a lot of the trees a few years ago when they were revamping the precinct, so I think it's great that they're now going to replace it.
The City Council aimed to introduce a new play and park area by early January. The project consists of new surfaced routes, play areas and also exercise spaces. The initiative is expected to boost economic growth as well as enhance the local environment. Both Labour and Conservative councillors of the Pear Tree ward have been contacted in regards to their opinions, but no further comment was made. Although there is a lot of controversy and mixed feelings about the revamp of Bitton Precinct, many are hopeful it will transform Bitton's look as well as its revenue. I am Olympia Camrich reporting for Winchester News Online.
Thousands of students from the University of Winchester celebrated their graduation last week. The special ceremonies were held at the city's cathedral, and our reporter Guy Nicholson was there to see how it unfolded.
The class of 2024. This year's graduates have donned their gowns and thrown their caps into the air, as most bid farewell to university life. Friday saw the last of the 11 ceremonies, where students of English literature, journalism, film, drama, music and philosophy came to embrace the occasion, which will stay in their memory for life. So what were their emotions after the ceremony?
Very happy I made it, everything, because I'm an international student, so it's very difficult to study here.
It's a bit of a weird feeling, you know, completely done now, but it's a bit of fun.
I'm absolutely buzzing, you know, to meet everybody again after it's been such a long summer, to be all together again and to celebrate with us and the lecturers, it's just amazing.
I'm over the moon, I can't believe it's happened. It's been leading up to 3 years of it and it's all done now.
A wonderful venue. Winchester Cathedral continues to add the wow factor to graduating from the university. So just what did the graduates make of it?
Studying here for 3 years, walking past it all the time, and now we're here, it's like, oh, it's actually happened. And we've never been inside, so for it to finally be in there, it's been extra special.
The cathedral just is so grand and epic to look at and be in.
It's very beautiful, it's very nice chance to see cathedral.
Just get those 10 seconds up on stage was brilliant. Quite daunting because everybody's watching you, but to meet Hugh at the end of it, you know, tops it off.
Being in there is very different. Being out here is an amazing place. So to be in there felt special.
Despite the unpredictable weather, everyone thoroughly enjoyed this landmark event. For the students, it was a fitting end to years of study and start to their next chapter. Guy Nicholson, Winchester News Online.
Leaving university can be really exciting, but the prospect of finding a job can be daunting and not always straightforward. With more students graduating than there are jobs available, many people are feeling unsure about what to do next. Molly Keane went to find out a bit more about the graduate job market and whether or not too many people are now going to university.
Hopeful and excited. With graduation in full swing, the class of 2024 are eager to take the next step, starting their careers after leaving university. But with huge demand for graduate positions, there is a harsh reality to post-study life. With more than 30% of graduates either still unemployed or not in graduate jobs, it's only natural for us to ask ourselves, are too many people going to university now?
I certainly do think too many students go. When I went to university, about 10% of the population went. Now it's something around 50. And there isn't that demand for degrees other than really top-notch professional degrees.
People should be wanting to go to university. I think it's really important for further education. We've obviously got lots of positions in the UK that need filling, and without those graduates, then you're not going to get it.
At Winchester University, many students have concerns about getting jobs and paying back their loans. Kate Sassy, a careers advisor there, has some advice for students in this position.
It is true that the graduate jobs market is tightening up a little bit. That is related to the economy. But in terms of advice for students, I think the key thing that we would always say to all graduates is to really understand your own strengths and your own skills base, because they are your ace cards. That is the key thing to do. You need to be able to explain to an employer that you are a safe pair of hands and you can just slip into their world.
And both employers and graduates will hope that Rachel Reeves has some positive news for them in her budget announcement tomorrow. Molly Keane, Winchester News Online.
And now let's head to our sports centre and join Elliot Norton.
A celebrity charity match took place at the ground of Hartley Whitney FC over the weekend, with many notable reality TV and social media figures taking part to support the cause. Jack Stone tells us more.
Over the past weekend, the Ollie Young Foundation hosted a celebrity charity match. The charity aims to raise money for research into brain tumours, with notable figures such as EastEnders star Danny Dyer and social media star Jeremy Lynch making an appearance to support the cause. The match seemed to start as it would go on, with Ollie's All-Stars, captained by Danny Dyer, taking an early lead. A flurry of saves from Lewis Craddock largely kept Celebrity UK in the game throughout the first half, along with some big chances missed from Ollie's All-Stars. At half-time, the charity aimed to raise further funds through means of selling merchandise across different stalls around the ground, as well as selling raffle tickets for prizes such as a match ball signed by all of the players. The second half of the game saw Ollie's All-Stars continue to dominate, with little fight back from Celebrity UK as the game ended in a dominant 11-3 victory, with the charity volunteers left speechless by the spectacle.
It means a lot. It does mean a lot because we're all volunteers. We've all got day jobs. It's a non-profit charity. I don't know, I've lost my words a little bit, but it does mean a lot because we fight for every pound. Don't get no help from anyone, but we literally do fight for every pound that we get.
The Ollie Young Foundation raised £6,215 from the event, bringing the total amount the charity has raised up to over £870,000 in just 12 years. Jack Stone, Winchester News Online Sport.
Winchester City progressed to the second round of the FA Trophy with a 4-0 win at Tavistock. AFC Totton also put their name in the hat after a win over Dorchester. In the National League, Eastleigh rescued a point in dramatic circumstances. Down to 10 men and losing 1-0 to Boston United in stoppage time, the Spitfires won a penalty, which Chris Maguire coolly scored. At the other end of the table, Aldershot Town lost 2-0 away to Hartlepool United, leaving them in 17th. Farnborough missed the chance to go top of the National League South as they conceded late on to draw 1-1 at Weymouth. On to the 7th tier, Basingstoke Town dropped points as they were held to a 2-2 draw at Swindon Supermarine. Manager Dan Brownlee gave his thoughts on the game.
And I think for the large part of the first 15-20 minutes we looked comfortable, we looked front foot, things were going well, and then we've made an uncharacteristic error.
Hampshire's two biggest teams did not pick up any points as Southampton fell to a 1-0 defeat at Manchester City in the Premier League, while rivals Portsmouth lost 2-1 at home to Sheffield Wednesday in the Championship.
The Bucks futsal season was back on the way at the weekend, with both of Winchester University's teams looking to improve on the bottom half finishes from last campaign. Morgan Mitchener-Banks went down to see how the second team got on in their first game back against Southampton.
The day didn't get off to the dream start for the Twos, as some poor man marking led to the Southampton tapping one home to take the lead in the early minutes of the game. And despite Winchester defending in numbers, Southampton were able to squeeze in a second a few minutes later. The Twos were able to grab one back soon after, however, as vice-captain Sam Friday converted their set-piece routine to give Winchester a foothold in the game going into the break. Despite Winchester putting on some early pressure in the second, some quick distribution from the Southampton goalkeeper pegged the Twos back once again. And things went from bad to worse for Winchester, as a slip-up from backup goalkeeper Harry Scanlan left the Twos with a mountain to climb heading into the final quarter of the match. Some poor play out from the back by Southampton gave Winchester a golden opportunity, but they were denied by a handball outside the box by Southampton keeper Ben Codd. The player was understandably sent off for the violation, but the referee controversially overturned the decision after disputes from the Southampton players, downgrading the card to a yellow, leaving the Twos furious with the decision. Some more poor defensive awareness from Winch gave Southampton their fifth of the day, ensuring they left comfortably with 3 points, and spoiling the return to the league for the Twos.
I thought we started pretty slowly, but I did think we grew in, so I think there were definitely positives to take. We obviously are gutted, but it's the first game of the season, so a long way to go. From Tony, I was fuming with that. It's obviously today's game as well, because that would have been a big plus. It's about 10 minutes to go when that happened, I think. But it's more, we've got them again next week, and he would have been, their goalkeeper would have been suspended, and obviously he's probably their best player. So that would have been massive for us. But it is what it is. It's too late now. You can't really do much. You just got to keep moving. You just got to get our revenge next week.
Morgan Mitchener-Banks, Winchester News Online.
That's all for sport. Back to you, Emily.
As Halloween quickly approaches, people are making the most of the seasonal activities. Sunnyfields Farm has welcomed visitors once again for their annual pumpkin picking. Mariella Southern reports.
This time of year comes with lots of seasonal traditions, one of the most popular being pumpkin picking. Less than half an hour from Winchester, the annual Pumpkin Time event has returned to Sunnyfields Farm in Southampton.
We normally take my boyfriend's sisters and they love seeing the displays. and all the pumpkins?
I like the just like the general decorations they've got around, like the figures and stuff. And there's always something different. Yeah, we just love it. We always come get a few pumpkins each and get craft kits, take it home, make them all.
Last year, the farm had a record-breaking pumpkin mosaic made from approximately 10,000 pumpkins and squashes. This year, a Beetlejuice mosaic inspired by the release of the new film takes its place. The farm is also home to the largest pumpkin to be grown in the world in 2024.
So it's actually, I think, our 8th year down at Sunnyfields for Pumpkin Time. Each year we ask people on social media what they think we should put on the pyramid, and this year about 70% of people said do Beetlejuice. Now the film came out either late September or early October, so the timing was right. We did Nightmare Before Christmas, the Tim Burton film, last year, so it's 2 years of Tim Burton films in a row, but we had to go with the public, so we put on Beetlejuice this year.
So with Halloween nearly here, it will mean Sunnyfield's annual Pumpkin Time event will soon be finishing. I wonder what it will have in store next year. Mariella Southern, Winchester News Online.
Drumming into the ears and eyes of Winchester, Charlotte Pashley goes to speak about Swan Samba's new project.
Drumming away at the Arc Winchester, the band Swan Samba, a Hampshire-based samba fusion and movement group, paraded their talents on Saturday for their free entry workshop. Their affiliation with Roynon Performing Arts since 2019 has seen the group's growth and progression.
Base level, I guess bringing communities together. I'm not going to lie, when we started it was just to share some sort of music, which is a big element anyway, but it kind of, from the stories that we got in the band, it kind of became apparent that this is really a huge thing to help people's mental and physical health. Formed a international drum project called Drum for Health, and that's bringing samba bands as well as artists and teachers and facilitators in. So it's got people up in like Warrington, Burnley, Leicester, New Zealand, and there's a couple of bands in there, America, and it's just to bring a bigger, larger community. I would like more, if I'm honest. I'm starting to kind of approach councils, any kind of organisations to help us get the name out there and listening, then definitely that would be good.
The arts need greater funding. I spoke with Winchester City Council, who provide me with a range of services that can provide financial support for organisations. This has been Charlotte Pashley, Winchester News Online.
And that's all we've got time for this week. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.